Well, 1:30. Is this it for us? We got 3 of us, so.
Yes, this is it.
Okay. Well, let's call the meeting to order. And Madam Secretary, can you take the roll to determine if we have a quorum?
Christina Hill,
Here.
Clay Thomas, he's absent. Lee Lawrence,
Here.
Rob Pierce,
Here.
and Brad Stanley is absent. We have a quorum.
Okay, great. Pledge of Allegiance. Who would like to lead us? Lee, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the
To
flag
the flag of the United States of America,
of the republic for which it
stands one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, ethics law announcement. Mr. Large?
Trevor, you got it in front of you? Because I haven't got it.
Trevor?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
All right, board members are reminded that if, with respect to any matter or any person coming before the board today, you have received a gift or loan, or you have a pecuniary interest or a commitment in a private capacity, such as a family, employment, business, or similar relationship, you must disclose that gift, loan, interest, or commitment at the time the matter is being considered, and you must abstain from deliberation or voting on the matter if it is clear that the gift, loan, interest, or commitment would materially affect the independence of judgment of a reasonable person. Board members are also reminded that under the Board of Adjustment rules, if you have had any contact outside this meeting with any person interested in the matter coming before the board today, you must disclose the nature of that contact at this meeting.
Okay, thank you. Could you also read the appeal procedure?
Yes, ma'am. Most decisions rendered by the Board of Adjustment are appealable to the Board of County Commissioners. If you disagree with the decision of the Board of Adjustment and you want to appeal its action, you may do so in writing within 10 calendar days from the date that the decision being appealed is reduced to writing, filed with the Secretary of the Board of Adjustment, and mailed to the original applicant in the proceeding being appealed in accordance with Washoe County Code. Please call the planning staff immediately at 328-6100 for information on the appeal procedure and application fee.
Okay, very good. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comment at this time?
I see no hand raised for public comment.
Okay. The next item is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
This is Rob. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as it stands.
Great. Seconded by Mr. Lawrence. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, then we have approval of the draft minutes from the last meeting. I've read them over. I didn't see any typos or anything that needs to be corrected. Did anybody else?
Madam Chair?
Okay, so can we get a motion to approve the last draft
Madam
meeting?
Chair, Lee here. I was not present at the last meeting, so I cannot comment on the accuracy of the draft minutes. Whether or not I can vote on that, I am not exactly sure.
You can vote on that based on the reliance of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, can we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting?
This is Rob. I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the last meeting.
And I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, public hearing items for possible action. Our first item, 8A, is amendment of conditions, case number WAC21-0002, extension of time for WSUP 19-0003 via monopole. And that is Roger Pelham. Hi, Roger.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. For the record, Roger Pelham with Washoe County Planning. I'm going to go ahead and try to share my screen here. Okay, are you seeing my presentation?
Yes,
Wonderful.
I am.
So this amendment of conditions is an extension of time for an approved special use permit for one additional year until June of 22. This original approval is for a wireless communication facility in the far north part of Washoe County near the area known as Via. And this is, again, very far north. This was sent to 83 affected property owners. There was no citizen advisory board meeting during this time period, so we don't have any particular comments from the CAB. But this is a very typical sort of request due to things like wildfires, the BLM having a lack of staffing, COVID. This has simply been delayed. And the applicant has been delayed in getting their approvals as this is on BLM land. This was sent to all of the appropriate agencies for review. Staff believes that the original findings remain valid and recommends approval. I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions from the board for Roger? Mr. Pelham? I don't see anybody.
I don't have any.
And no questions here, Madam Chair.
Okay, do we have any questions from, I need to get my book.
Is the owner available for comment?
Yeah.
My name is Julie Kreckler. I'm representing ComNet Wireless. I'm with CIS Communications. I do not have any questions or comments.
Okay. Do we have any comments from the general public?
I have no public comment.
Okay, bringing it back to the board. Would someone like to make a motion?
I have no comment, Madam Chair. I think it's a fine program and it'd be great to see a poll up there. That's my only comments. I'll support any motion. Aiden?
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion?
This is Rob. I'll make a motion. I would
Okay.
like to make a motion to approve. I move that after giving reasonable consideration to the information contained in the staff report and information received during the public hearing, the Washoe County Board of Adjustment approve amendment of condition case WAC 21-0002 for comment of Nevada with the conditions included in Exhibit A to this matter. We have made all 5 findings in accordance with Washoe County Code Section 110.810.30 and in accordance with the High Desert Area Plan.
All in favor?
I'll second.
Aye. Any opposed? No? Motion carries. Thank you. It's a lot of paper for that.
Madam Chair, just for the record, we have on record that Lee Lawrence was the second of the motion.
Oh, okay, Lee Lawrence seconded it, and we took an action to approve it, correct? Okay. Great, the next item, 8B, variance case number WPVAR 21-0002, Spencer front yard setback. And this is Miss Wyke. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Yes, Madam Chair, we would like to.
Right?
Very impressive.
Madam Chair, if I could, I would like to introduce our newest planner. He's our senior planner, Courtney White, and she's been with us for just a couple months, I think now. And she's been a very pleasant surprise. We're thrilled to have her. So I'll turn it over to
Great.
Courtney.
Well, welcome to the county. I hear you used to work at South Lake Tahoe.
I sure did, and I am still here until I can start finding some housing. It's expensive out there, so I'm commuting. But yes, I'm still up in the basin, so not too far from Washoe County.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. 1 second. Let me. Okay. Unless I see some nodding heads or waving hands, I'm going to assume you can see the screen. Yes, good afternoon, Chair and members of the board. For the record, Courtney Wyke, Senior Planner. The request before you today is for consideration of a variance to reduce the required front yard building setback from 20 feet to 15 feet to allow for an expansion of a single family dwelling. Variances to setback standards are permissible subject to the provisions of Article 804, variances of the Washoe County Development Code. The subject parcel is located in the Tahoe Area Plan in Incline Village, east of Mount Rose Highway. It is approximately 6,041 square feet and has a regulatory zone of high density suburban. Many of the surrounding parcels have the same regulatory zone. Across the street to the south is medium density suburban, which has stricter setback standards. It's the site plan. The red dashed line represents the required setbacks for the regulatory zone, 20 feet in the front and rear, 5 on both the sides. All but the front yard setbacks would meet the required standard. The requested reduction would allow for the addition of 2 rooms at the 2nd and 3rd story level. The hatched blue area represents the portion of the structure that would encroach into the 20-foot setback. The applicant notes in their application, the existing dwelling is 35 feet from the edge of pavement for Jennifer Street, the gray portion that you see there on the site plan. However, county setback requirements are measured from the property line and not the roadway. And that's delineated there with the green marking of the 20-foot setback. There is no proposed expansion of the dwelling's footprint on the ground or floor level within the setback. So as you can see here, we're looking at an east elevation. The 2nd and 3rd floor are protruding 5 feet into the required setback at those levels and not at the ground floor. Additionally, this is a different elevation looking south towards basically the front of the home, and you can see all the improvements are going to be taking place at the 2nd and 3rd story level. Here is a picture of the home from the street view. So basically the 2nd and 3rd story levels would extend an additional 5 feet out and be enclosed to allow for the additional 2 bedrooms. Nevada revised statutes limits the power of the Board of Adjustment to grant variances only when there are particular circumstances. The applicant has the responsibility to demonstrate that the subject property exhibits one or more of the following characteristics. The shape of the parcel is exceptional. The subject parcel is essentially rectangular. The parcel would not be considered exceptionally shaped. There are exceptional topographic conditions. The subject parcel is essentially flat. The parcel does not contain exceptional topographic conditions, specifically in the areas where the proposed expansion development is going to occur. The parcel is exceptionally narrow or shallow. The parcel meets all required minimum lot and depth requirements for the parcel. And lastly, any other extraordinary situations. Staff has not identified any other exceptional conditions of this piece of property. It is the opinion of staff that this parcel of land does not demonstrate such circumstances required for a variance. On April 5th, 2021, the Incline Village Crystal Bay Citizens Advisory Board did consider the proposal and voted unanimously in support of the application. Consistent with county code, property owners within 500 feet were notified of the application, which amounted to 33 adjacent property owners. 2 public comment letters were received from adjoining properties. included as Exhibit A to your staff report, and they were both in support of the application. I will note that they were directly adjacent to the proposed project before you. In addition, all applicable agencies and Washoe County departments were notified of the application. As previously discussed, staff does not believe the required findings can be made in order to grant the requested variance. After a thorough analysis and review of the proposed request, staff is recommending denial of for variance case number WPVAR 21-002, and staff offers the following motion for the board's consideration. With that concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions, and do believe that the applicants are on the call and have their own presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any questions from the board for Ms. Wyke?
This is Rob. I have one. Are there any homes on that block that may have special use permits that are encroaching on the setback variance?
I am not aware of any adjoining homes or within, a relative proximity of them having what I would assume would be a variance. And you're referencing setbacks to the existing homes where they are. I am not aware of any discretionary approvals for those.
Thank you.
Maybe Mr. Lloyd may want to expand. Thank you.
Like to expand a little bit, and that's actually a pretty good question.
It is.
Yes, I appreciate that. And again, not knowing the specifics of this property or the immediate neighbors. However, keep in mind there are a number of variances. In fact, Incline Village is where you see the predominant number of variances requested and issued, in large part because so many of those properties are facing some very, steep constraints in terms of the topography, and even some of the shapes of those parcels are very unique. And that's really what we're looking at in this situation. We're, paying close attention to those findings that Ms. Wyke presented to you all. Does it meet any of those special circumstances that are specifically identified in state law? And that's really what we're asking you all to look at. Thank you.
Are there any additional questions for staff?
I just have one real quick, Madam Chair. So I just had a question. This extension, this request, coming out 5 feet as we see here in the blue area, the hash. What is the length or the distance? I understand the property setback, but what is the distance in fact to the street? Is there any indication of that for 2 Jennifer Street?
The applicant's site plan indicates a distance of 35 feet from the structure to what we refer to as edge of pavement, which would be Jennifer Street. And that is not uncommon, especially in these towns like Incline Village, where a person may not recognize that there may be about 10 to 15 feet of right-of-way that they consider being on their property. However, that's actually an extension of the roadway.
Yeah, okay.
Not what we would take where we would measure the applicable setbacks from.
Yeah, and I get that because they're different. Yeah. The streets vary and things like that.
Permission to speak, you guys? Is that, this is Gil Smith.
Gil, maybe wait until all questions for staff, and then we can turn it over.
Okay, so just clarifying, it's 35 feet. My concern is that fire trucks, something pulling in there, would have room to get out of the street. If there were any issues where, a truck might have to deploy a ladder or something to get up into the roof area to protect this home in the event of something like that. 5 feet being lost from that is certainly something to consider, and that was only my concern there. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Any more questions for staff? Okay, does the applicant have a presentation they'd like to provide?
I do. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Board. My name's, excuse me, my name's Gil Spencer. It's my wife, Deirdre Toner. We're the ones asking for the variance. And we have put together a presentation. Just share my screen. Let's see here. Can you see that?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, good. Here is a quick overview of the property. The entryway on the, you can't see where I'm pointing, but the entryway on the left there essentially is this grand entryway to the property. And what we're proposing to do is put 2 offices there. It's sort of a waste of space. It goes into the interior. It goes all the way up to the top. We're limited in our ability to really put those offices anywhere else. We're working full-time from the home. To answer the question of the setback from the street, the actual from the edge of pavement is actually I measured 43 feet to my garage door currently. And the proposal is really just on the 2nd and 3rd stories, as was noted. There is currently a 15-foot right-of-way that the county, that I maintain, that the county owns. And so we're asking for a variance just really for those 2 top stories. This is a frontal view of it. Again, just shows kind of where the 2 offices would go on the left and then bringing the deck flush across. This is a interior kind of floor plan and also frontal view of what we're proposing. The offices are on the left. There's actually a greenhouse that we're proposing on the right. Greenhouses don't have any coverage, and it's an ability for us to grow some vegetables. The setback, again, you can see clearly there is currently 20 feet. So there's a few design challenges that we have. I noted one is we're over TRPA coverage requirements. You know, when I first found out from the planners that they needed a variance to get these rooms to be of reasonable size, these are 250 square foot rooms, right? Anything smaller was kind of not workable as an office. I asked everybody to reset, kind of start over, and we're over. This house was built over coverage. So there's really nowhere out the back, out the sides, moving any of the staircases. You know, we looked at, I really kind of gave everybody a clean sheet of paper. How could we do this? And there really was nowhere else to put 2 offices without trying to somehow go over coverage, et cetera. We're working from home full time with COVID. I know that's everybody's problem right now, not just ours, but we're on top of each other.
It's a long-term situation.
Yeah, this isn't, we're here full time and we're working here full time. To answer the question about the neighbors' properties, I went around and kind of looked. I've actually got a picture of exactly what the setbacks are everywhere. They're not uniform. But my neighbor, for example, across the street has a 5-foot setback that he's actually encroaching on. That's what he was approved at in 1968 when it was recorded. But the house is even over that. I have probably the deepest driveway in the neighborhood. A fire truck could easily fit in my driveway. Like I put 3 vehicles in there. Maybe not with my truck, but I have put 3 vehicles in there. But I just took pictures around the neighborhood of my truck in their driveways so you could get a sense of sort of the distribution of what we're dealing with, right? Except for, oops, excuse me, my neighbor down at the bottom. His truck's already out of his driveway. So I did a survey, kind of, I looked at the recorded maps from the assessor's office. You can get this off of the Washoe County Assessor's website. And, you know, the setbacks in our neighborhood were not uniformly distributed when they were handed out. Of note, for example, down in we're this red one here, 40, down in 222 there where the large 222 is. Those two lots haven't even been built yet, and those have 10-foot setbacks. So this wasn't just a variant situation for each of these. This is what was originally recorded was non-uniform, just wasn't uniformly distributed. And it turns out we're actually the smallest lot in this group, and we still have a larger setback, which I would say is a hardship. It's of the four things. I mean, we are reasonably square, we're reasonably flat, right? There's no topographic features, but there are some extenuating circumstances here where it's not evenly distributed throughout the neighborhood. The two closer properties that are slightly larger than me, those both have a 15-foot setback, right? And the average throughout the neighborhood is 15.4 feet, right? So there was a Citizens Advisory Board meeting, excuse me. My neighbors were all fine with it. We went, we met with everybody. Everybody is completely supportive of what we're up to. The Citizens Advisory Board, I think Roger was there. It was unanimously approved. And Roger was asked, like, what's the purpose of a setback, right? And it was essentially for creating light, air, and other such things as snow removal. And I don't believe that anything that we're doing here really affects snow removal or air or light. In fact, we're trying to enhance the neighborhood and make things better. So again, our proposal is we're trying to maintain the same setback on the ground, the same 20-foot setback on the ground. Absolutely nothing changes. We're really only asking for variance for second and third stories. It doesn't impact snow coverage, snow removal, any of our neighbors' views. We're planning on using better materials and improving the look and neighborhood value. Those columns are going away, or better siding, and there's no disturbance to vegetation.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you.
Does the board have any questions for the applicant?
Madam Chair, I do. Mr. Spencer Lee Lawrence here. I just, for my edification and those in attendance, the overcoverage that you're referring to, can you explain a bit of, I believe it was, you said that TRPA is the one who has you under this condition. Can you explain that a little bit, please?
Yeah, okay, so I am not the best versed in this, I apologize, but TRPA has coverage conditions for properties in incline where you're only allowed to build so many feet of your property. And decks count as coverage, and everything I understand except for greenhouses, which that was a bonus. But there is a square foot coverage requirement, and we are already, this house, when it was built, was already way over the coverage requirements. It was approved. There's some process that can be done. I'm not quite clear on it, where like there's pavers, there's different things that can be done to get coverage, but we are already like, I think double coverage or something. We're double over our coverage. So we have no ability to build out the side or build, in the back or anything. There's also in the back, there's an open space easement on the back of our lot that we're right up against also. So the planners weren't able to come up with anything doable, really, is what it came down to.
So just to follow up, so they have no issues with your plan here in this expansion, if you will? Have they told you they're okay with it, or where are they at with it?
So it's over existing coverage because it's going over the driveway. It's over existing coverage, right? The driveway counts as coverage. We already have that. That's already calculated in. So we're not double hit for it.
Thank you. I understand exactly what you mean now. Thank you. That's all.
Any other additional questions for the applicant? Okay, I'm not seeing any. There we go. Should we, you don't have your architect or anything representative?
He did not make it, unfortunately. I asked him to attend, but he's not here.
Okay. Okay, seeing no further questions for the applicant, bring it back to the board, or no? Is there any public comment?
We have no public comment.
Okay, then I'll bring it back to the board. I have a disclosure. I just want to mention that I went and visited the site the other day, and upon looking at it, ran into Gil, and he and I met and discussed what he was proposing. So I'm pretty familiar with the site and what is being proposed, but I wanted to disclose that I met with him, but I don't think that will impact my decision on the determination of whether or not to grant the variance. Any other disclosures? No, okay, seeing none. Does the board have any questions, other questions for staff or the applicant?
Well, this is Rob. I think it's a great plan. It looks really good. It looks like the setbacks would be good, but I kind of reading that we're kind of obligated under the NRS that our powers may not be okay if we approve this application. They may have to go to the county commissioners to get approved on this, just because Washoe County, the people involved there said that it's not practical for this area.
Madam Chair, if I could just make a further comment with
yes, go ahead, Mr. Lawrence.
What Rob was speaking of. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that the shape, topography, narrowness / shallowness, or other extenuating condition doesn't apply directly per definition in the code. However, I will say I haven't seen a project like this that in essence is raised above the ground, is in my mind almost like a cantilevered project, if you know what that means, where there isn't an actual foundation taking up space within the setback. So I'm going to ponder this a while, Madam Chair. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'd just like to reiterate that, there's the findings that we have to make for a variance are that there's a hardship. And I'm having difficulty finding a reason that this current existing house, it creates a hardship for the applicant, other than what he says is, he needs office space. Well, I don't know if that's a hardship. So, and reading the staff report, I am having difficulty seeing, and maybe Mr. Large can chime in if we could even approve this variance if it doesn't comply with the NRS statutes of being able to make those findings of hardship.
Madam Chair, if I may, Michael Large for the record from the Washoe County District Attorney's Office. This board has the power to grant variances to make the factual findings necessary in regard to what is the statutory requirements of exceptional narrowness, exceptional shallowness, exceptional shape, topographic conditions, other extraordinary exceptional situations or condition. In terms of what is an undue hardship or what are those exceptional circumstances, that is up for this board to decide based on the facts of the project. You've gotten staff's opinion of that, but once again, that's just staff's opinion. This board is not beholden to them in regard to that. You can make the decision on your own based on your own expertise.
Sure.
And that would be legal's.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Large.
Madam Chairman, may I speak?
Yes.
Our point, if it wasn't clear in the deck, was that Deirdre, hi. Our point in the deck, that if it wasn't clear, was that we believe our hardship is that we're being held to an ununiform standard for our building. We've got the smallest lot with one of the larger setback requirements. And the purpose of the setback is to provide the air and the light and the space from the road. And we have way more room from the road than any other house in our neighborhood. So we feel that that's the hardship, that we're being held to a different standard. We just like you to consider that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. There wasn't uniform distribution, right, when these are set out. So I'm not sure we randomly got. Anyway, I think we made the point.
Okay, do we have any, do we have any further deliberations, or would someone like to make a motion, or?
Madam Chair, I just have one thing to follow up. And Mr. Large is correct when we're held to a regulatory standard. And those standards change throughout time as setbacks do, building codes do, and requirements do as well. The simple fact that other yards have different setbacks don't necessarily address the conditions that are placed upon the properties in 2021. Those conditions really can't be considered as a hardship or discriminatory in any way to the applicant requesting that their setback be something similar that maybe was approved some years back. So this is also what I'm grappling with, is the fact that per code, per the designation within it, this property does not meet any of the required issues that we've been discussing where I could find support for it at this point in time. So I am probably in a position of denial of this project based on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Rob, any input?
Yeah, I'm still struggling with the hardship issue. I think it's a great plan. I'm all for it. But unfortunately, I think that this may have to be appealed, because where I'm seeing it right now is I'm seeing that it's not making the hardship rule. I mean, but the county commissioners, they can't overrule this. So that's just where I stand right now.
Yeah.
If I may speak, it doesn't seem to me fair to have different, like my neighbor across the street literally has a 5-foot setback, and his building as built is over that.
Chair, I'm sorry, if I could break in. Really, this is the time for deliberation for the board. It's not an open discussion for everyone, unless you have a question specifically for the applicant.
Yeah, and it's my understanding that that's in a different zoning. It's more of a medium density residential, and you're in high density. Is that true, Courtney? Like
so the subject property is high density suburban, which has the 20 in the front and the rear, and the I believe, sorry, I should have it up, 5 on the sides. The medium density suburban in the a couple slides in was shown across the street, and they actually have more strict or more restrictive standards, and that's related to the side yards for medium density.
Yeah, I know it's very arbitrary, these very setbacks all throughout Incline, and you go up Fairview and there's people right on the road and people 20 feet back, and it's all over the place in Incline. But we have to make a determination based on the information presented to us and the regulations that we are to uphold. So regardless of what's happening across the street.
The Incline Village Citizens Advisory Board all voted unanimously for it, as did my neighbors. So I mean,
Right.
it's got
Right. A lot of times the Citizens Advisory Board aren't aware of the findings that the Board of Adjustments has to make about hardship and some kind of exception to the that the property contains the characteristics of the property is so
Roger Pelham was present and voted aye at that meeting. So it's really actually surprising to us, even that Courtney and that it came out that staff is against it, because Roger was at that meeting and voted aye. Now, he wasn't on the record, so we didn't put that in the thing, but we watched him vote aye. It was
there's Roger.
Everybody was there. All right.
Trevor, you're muted. Unmute yourself.
I'm sorry. Again, once again, I need to reiterate that this is the time for deliberation for the board. It is not a time for back and forth between members of the public and the board. If you have a question of the applicants, feel free to ask them. Also, Roger, just what? Go ahead, Roger.
Yeah, please let me clarify. I am not a voting member of that Citizen Advisory Board. I did not vote. I am not in a position to vote. I did not express any opinion whatsoever. I was rather there to gather their thoughts, but no, I did not recommend. And in fact, if I may, when this was first submitted, I did have a rather lengthy conversation with this applicant on this very item of the findings that you are required to make, and that was the limitation of my comments there. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you for clarifying. Okay, can we get a motion? Done. It seems like we're done with deliberations. Okay, I'll make a motion. I move that after giving reasoned consideration to the information contained in the staff report and the information received during the public hearing, the Washoe County Board of Adjustments deny variance case number WPVAR 21-002 to reduce the required front yard setback to 20 feet to 15 feet, being unable to make all required findings in accordance with Washoe County Development Code, section 110.804.25, those being special circumstances, no detriment, no special privilege, use authorized, and effect on a military installation. All in favor? Oh, second?
This is Rob. I'll second it.
Thank you. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay? What
Correct.
did you say? You said no?
Correct.
Okay. The motion carries 2-1. So you want to read the appeal procedure, Trevor?
I do. One moment, please.
Oh, I don't know if they're still here.
Okay, most decisions rendered by the Board of Adjustment are appealable to the Board of County Commissioners. If you disagree with the decision of the Board of Adjustment and you want to appeal its action, you may do so in writing within 10 calendar days from the date that the decision being appealed is reduced to writing, filed with the Secretary of the Board of Adjustment, and mailed to the original applicant in the proceeding being appealed in accordance with Washoe County Code. Please call the planning staff immediately at 328-6100 for information on the appeal procedure and application fee.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, 8C, special use permit case number WSUP 21-0005, Duarte Grading. Dan Callahan, Mr. Callahan, are you there for your staff presentation? Colleen, sorry.
All right. Dan Colon, Washoe County Planning. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, we can barely hear you.
All right, well, then I will speak up. Can you hear me now?
Yes, much better.
All right, so I have before you today WSUP 21-0005 for Duarte grading. This is a request for a major grading permit, specifically addressing a road crossing slopes greater than 30%, 340 cubic yards of cut, and 3,040 cubic yards of fill, as well as cut on slopes greater than 15%, as well as 2.42 acres of ground disturbance. I will note that this is within the approved easement for WTPM 19-0015, which was approved in December 12th, 2019. Effectively, this request is to bring an existing driveway up to Washoe County road standards as part of the development for an approved tentative parcel. So this is up in the North Valleys. As you can see here, there is the driveway that is going up a rather steep hill. And we have one area that exceeds slopes of 30%, which triggers the special use permit. As you can see here on the left, we have the proposed site plan, which is the road, which more or less matches the existing driveway that is on the parcel currently. And here is what the grading amounts to, which is widening the road and building the drainage to ensure that the road doesn't fall down over time. And as we move up to the cul-de-sac, continuing. The applicant is not requesting to vary any standards, and they're still required to meet all the standards per Article 438. And as the grading plans have been submitted, it meets all of the required slopes and standards. It just needs a special use permit. So notice was sent to 34 affected property owners, 2,500 feet from the site. And this went to the Citizens Advisory Board meeting at the North Valleys CAB on April 12th, 2021. The discussion there covered the location of the proposed grading relative to the approved parcel map. Again, this is within the proposed access easement that was approved within the tentative parcel map from 2019. And then the CAB voted unanimously in favor of the SUP. Staff is able to make all 5 of the special use permit findings and recommends that the Board of Adjustment approve case number WSUP 21-0005 with the conditions associated in Exhibit A. And I have provided a possible motion for you, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Killane. Does the board have any questions for staff? Seeing none? Oh, Rob?
Yeah, is there any talk about him building a bunch of homes out in that area, or is this just for personal?
This is as part of an approved parcel map. There will be a subdivision that was approved in 2019 for 4 parcels as part of the Parcel Map Review Committee. This is just to build the road and bring it up to county standards in order to serve those 4 parcels.
Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Okay. Is the applicant present? Do we have a presentation from the applicant?
I believe the applicant is present and available for questions if you have any.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, we can hear you.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good, yeah. Thank you for having us here today. Like I said, we're just looking for an approval on our existing grading permit. Any questions? We'd love to answer those for you.
Okay. Do we have any questions for the applicant?
This is Rob. I just want to reconfirm this is just for your family and personal use. This isn't for a bunch of homes out in that area. This is just to cut the grading down. Is that correct?
Yeah, Rob, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just, we want to build our dream home on the back, and we're not building a subdivision. We have an existing home here, and we want to build our home up on the top of the hill, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions.
Okay, Madam Chair, is there any public comment?
I see no public comment.
Okay, we'll bring it back to the board. Close the public comment. Do we have any disclosures or? No? Okay. Any questions of the applicant?
Madam Chair, I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Any deliberations or anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I don't have any deliberations. I don't have a problem with this. It sounds like, it's all on the up and up. He just needs to get a special use permit. So with that said, I'll make a motion that we approve. I move that after giving reasonable consideration information contained in the staff report and information received during the public hearing, the Washoe County Board of Adjustments approve with conditions special use permit case number WSUP 21-0005 for Mark Durant, with the condition included in Exhibit A to this matter, having made all 5 findings in accordance with Washoe County Code Section 110.810.30, consistency, improvement, site suitability, issuance not detrimental, and effects of military installation. Sorry.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, board.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is item 8D, special use permit case number WSUP 21-0008, Walker Guest House. Julie Olander is the staff. Ms. Olander, do you have a presentation for us?
Good afternoon, Chairwoman and Board. Yes, this is Julie Olander with Washoe County Planning and Building, and I'm going to share my screen. Just a moment. Why is this not showing up? It's the wrong things up to share. So let me try this again. Don't know why it's not showing me the right item to share. And close more screens, see if that helps. Well, it doesn't, it doesn't show me the item on my. Let me back out and try it again.
Okay, no problem. Take your time. I'm going to be right back.
Okay, there it is.
We can see it now, Julie.
I see it. Yeah, I got it now. I don't know why it wasn't, giving me as an option to. Now where to go? All right. I'll wait for Christina.
Yeah, let's wait for
Board Member Hill to come return.
Oh, you got it. Great.
Okay, yep, I got it. All right, so this is a special use permit for the Walker Guest House. The request is for, like I said, a special use permit for a detached accessory dwelling on a parcel that has a regulatory zoning of medium density suburban, which is required per Washoe County Code Table 302.05.1, and also 306.25. The proposed accessory dwelling unit, or DAD, will meet the MDS setback requirements, which are 20 feet in the front and rear and 8 on the sides. The property borders the Truckee River to the north, and the unit will be 38.2 feet from the property line and fronting the river. Conditions of approval will require that no construction or excavation will occur below the 14,000 cubic feet per second, or CFS, zone of the Truckee River, which is located approximately at 4,585 feet elevation contour line. Here's sort of an overview of it. See the river to the river's over here, and then the unit's right here. I'm going to go to another picture that shows it a little bit closer, but I wanted you to get an overall view of the lot. So the proposed units here, the existing house here, and then the streets over here. Here's a little bit closer in, and I've highlighted where the unit's going to be. Again, here's the river, and then the house is over here. The unit's going to be a two-story building with a half bath, kitchen, and living room on the first floor, and a bedroom and a bathroom on the second floor. It will be connected to Washoe County Sewer and Tumwah Water, and then and gas and power will be available also from NV Energy. Here's an overview of the elevations, showing the height of the building and sort of how it cantilevers out, just so there was some concern about the grading here, but how the building is going to be constructed is going to be above the drop off towards the river. And then here's the floor plan of the first floor, showing the kitchen, the living area, and the restroom. And then the upstairs is a bedroom and the bath. Notices were sent to 49 parcels. The West Truckee Meadows Verdite Township Citizen Advisory Board did not meet while the application was being reviewed. Comment forms were sent to the CAB, but none were received. Various agencies have provided conditions that are in the conditions of approval in your staff report. And these are the findings for the special use permit. Consistency, improvement, site suitability, issuance not detrimental, and effect on a military installation. Staff was able to make all 5 findings, and I provide a possible motion for you to make. The applicant is available for questions. They don't have a presentation, but they are, I believe, online. And I'm available for questions if you have any.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Olander, do we have any questions for our staff from the board? Julie, do you have any pictures of, I mean, I can see the plan, and here you go, here's the river, here's the proposed accessory dwelling unit, but actually how far is it from the river? How many feet is it from the river?
So maybe I'll go back to sharing my screen. So whoops. There we go.
And that is that going to be in the area where there's water, get cubic feet per second? That seems like it's pretty close. I mean,
so that's the reason we put that condition in there, to make sure that there wasn't going to be any issue with them showing that. Oops. So it's hard to tell. They're about 38 feet. Their property line, the building will be about 38 feet back from the property line that borders on the river. I couldn't, and that's the reason we have that condition in there. Parks put that condition in there because they have contact with the conservancy that sort of oversees its, I don't have that in front of me right now, but so the parks put it in a condition that keeps them up away from the river. And that was reviewed by the parks people. And so I'm fairly comfortable with what, I had the appropriate agencies review it. I feel like that gives me the comfort level that it won't be, if they, they have to meet the conditions, that it won't be an issue for the river.
So is it, you know, I've gone through several projects in like Incline where Army Corps of Engineers floodplain analysis is required. Have they chimed in at all, or is there a requirement for Army Corps to look at this?
The Corps didn't get involved. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to stop sharing my screen again. I'm sorry. So I can, oops. Thought I had up the staff report. I might ask you to look at the conditions from parks.
The
So
Washoe
that's
County
the
Story?
Yes, thank you. No,
Washoe Story Conservation District.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, they're the ones that reviewed the site and the plans, and they were the ones that came up with those conditions. And that's the agency that would review this situation, would review buildings that are coming in along the river. We don't have a lot that come in, so it was a little bit of a scramble to find out who it was, but Parks has connections with those folks, and they reviewed it, and their engineer made that condition that they be that far back, and then they gave that elevation, because it's hard to know if you're at 14,000 CFS or what you're at exactly. So she said approximately at that 48, exactly, what was it, 48 something, 48, 85 elevation. She says that would make the building safe.
Okay.
I believe it's
I'm more concerned about the river than the building.
Well, I mean, the building in this river said that would give the protection to the river. These houses were built probably in the 70s, maybe even late 60s. So at that point, we didn't have a lot of regulations along the river. So these houses front the river, so their property line goes down to the river. There's not a lot we can, you know, do to change that property line at this point. Since then, we know moving forth, the city of Reno probably has more properties along the river, and I know that they are now making the houses be set back farther. But at the time these houses were built, we didn't have those regulations, and because of that, we have to sort of make do with what we have. And the information that we got was that this condition would suffice in protecting the river and also protecting the house. And there's people, you can't walk, you know, you can walk in front of this house in the river, but there's no path or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Does the applicant want to give a presentation or have a say?
I don't have a presentation to give, but I'm happy to answer any questions. Just to note, we are well above that 14,000 CFS flood channel with the building. Their commentary was directed at adjusting a drainage bed on the property. So the building itself is well above the elevation for flooding.
Okay, and did you also use materials for the guest house that match your existing house?
The roof will be the same. The existing house is brick. We were going to use stone on the exterior of this so it blends better in with the landscape. This is a steep site next to the river. The rock would be more appropriate to that portion of the site than the brick house.
Right, okay, but the same roof type of material.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant from the board? No, seeing none. Is there any public comment, Madam Secretary?
We have no public comment.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Bring it back to the board. You guys have any comments or deliberations?
Madam Chair, I have one question, and I wasn't sure if it was for the applicant or Ms. Orlander or who it might be for, and it had to do with drainage off this structure. Given that the hill is right there, are there rain gutters in place for this? Is there a way to drain water from the asphalt shingles away from directly going into the river? Has that been addressed? I'm having an eye problem, so I haven't been able to really read a lot of stuff to the extent I want to, but I was curious if drainage will be such that debris, anything sloughing from the house would not wind up in the river system. Is that been addressed here? Anybody that can ask or answer, excuse me.
This is Julie Olander with Planning and Building. I would refer that to the applicant. Like I say, it is 38 feet back from the river. The property is fairly flat, so I would not think there would be a lot of drainage down into the river at that point, but maybe the applicant can provide more information.
Ms. Wong, if you could, I would appreciate if you have anything to add or to, kind of clarify this for me.
I would say the project's not going to make any significant change to the drainage that's already happening. There's a civil engineer involved, and I won't speak for him. He's not on the call, I don't believe. But the goal will be to manage as much of the drainage on site, just like you would with any project. We're not creating runoff into the river. And I think there may even have been a condition. I'm not positive. I'd have to reread them, but just like every project, we're managing the drainage on site, not draining off site.
Well, I was just curious because it looked like there was a slope towards the river under the cantilevered porch. And given the proximity, was it 38 feet or something in that neighborhood of the river? Not so much drainage directly, but percolation issues through the soil. Foreign matter from the home, I don't know what asphalt shingles could leach or paints or things like that. But I'm thinking of the downstream user and any concerns that, this could, possibly create if that's been addressed in your building permits or anything like that. Have you received anything like that, or such as guttering the roof, just as simple as that, to the south side of the property, away from the river? Has that been considered any sort of drainage system, or just a simple roof gutter that would dump in some fashion away from drainage to the river? Has that been anything that's come up?
Well, we're not in for building permit yet, but the civil engineer is working on that drainage. There's going to be some like a rock swale to control any drainage that we're impacting with the construction. That's the slope is already there. We're not making a slope that slopes to the river. That's what's there.
Yeah, I understand. I see that. Okay, Ms. Wong, thank you.
And this is Julie Olander with Planning and Building for the record. I just want to add also, you can't have water crossing property lines. And so we would also make sure that when the building permit came in, that would be reviewed both by building and engineering to confirm that the water is not going to cross property lines. So that is going to happen more at the building permit level than the special use permit level.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that, Julie.
Okay, any more questions for the applicant? Okay, I would assume that the building department will require that all runoff from impervious surfaces will be infiltrated on site and away from the river. That would hope so. So anybody want to make a motion?
All right, this is Rob. I'll make a motion as soon as she takes care of the phone.
Okay, Rob, go ahead. My phone is ringing. I'm trying to turn it down.
Mine does the same thing. So I'm going to make a motion to approve, and I move that after giving reasonable consideration to the information contained in the staff report and information received during the public hearing, the Washoe County Board of Adjustments approve with conditions special use case permit WSUP 21-0008 for Walker Family Trust, with the conditions included as Exhibit A to this matter, having made all 5 findings in accordance with Washoe County Code Section 110.810.30, consistency, improvement, site suitability, issuance not detrimental, and no effect on the military installation.
Again.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, now we're on to agenda item number 9, Any future agenda items that we need to discuss or be aware of? Trevor?
I probably won't be here for next meeting in June. Just to
Okay.
let you know.
No, this nothing coming from staff, and this is your opportunity. If there's anything you wish to discuss or bring up, this your opportunity to do so at this time.
No, I don't have anything. Anybody else? Do we have any requests for information from staff? Any items that we denied go to the county commissioners and get approved?
That would be the next item.
Yeah,
So,
we're
I'm
on
assuming
to
no-
9B now.
Okay, no request for information. Also, no, there's been nothing to report in the last couple of months from BOA going to on appeal to BCC. So, however, I did want to mention one thing, and that is based on the recent governor's directive, we will be opening up the county commission chambers again for public hearings. So starting in June, the Board of Adjustment as well as the Planning Commission meetings will be held back in the the County Commission chambers. You're not obligated to attend, however, you're certainly welcome to. And the public is also welcome to attend those meetings. It's going to be a bit of a hybrid approach. So we're still going to be conducting these via Zoom, but we will also be conducting them in the commission chambers.
Will you be in the chambers?
I will be. Yes, but I don't know
Are
if
you wearing masks and will masks be
Yes.
required? Okay.
Yeah, there's no distancing requirements, but there is still a mask requirement.
Okay.
Also, most of the staff as well as the presenters will be presenting on Zoom. But again, I will be in the chambers as well as the administrative staff. So just a heads up for next month's meeting.
And we're having meetings every month now, Trevor. It seems like they used to be every other month.
Yes, we are having meetings every month just based on the sheer number, volume.
Yeah.
That our application submittals have increased significantly. So both with the Board of Adjustment as well as the Planning Commission.
Okay.
So if I understand you correctly, if we feel more comfortable staying at home because of the mask issue possibly, that's okay?
That is.
Coming in on Zoom, okay.
That's correct.
Do we, down to 10A, have a report on previous Board of Adjustment items?
Sorry, Madam Chair, no, there's nothing to report at this time.
Any legal information or updates, Mr. Large?
Nothing. I was going to, Trevor beat me to the punch, but yeah, that would be my only thing is that we will be coming back in person on the hybrid approach pursuant to the governor's mandate. We'll keep you informed on whether or not we can continue on with the Zoom hearings at later, but right now we can do the hybrid approach. So with that, that's all from legal.
Okay, great, thank you. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comment?
We have no public comment.
Madam Chair, if I may, I'm sorry I interrupted.
Yes.
Before we slam the gavel, I just wanted to thank you and Rob for handling the motions. My eye, I can't see very well today, so I appreciate that. I just wanted to extend my gratitude to you guys for doing that. Thank you.
We're a team, right?
Yeah. Okay. I was sad to see the email about our former planner passing away. He was a great guy. I can't think of his name right now.
Oh, that was Bob Webb. Yeah.
Bob Webb, yeah.
We're going to miss him.
Young.
So young and so full of energy.
Yeah.
He was truly one of the most decent people I've known, and he will certainly be missed.
Yeah. So
I enjoyed working with him very much. Thank you. I just wanted to say I enjoyed working with him very much in the past.
yeah. Okay, may you rest in peace. On that, we will be adjourned.
We need
Thank you.
we need to do public comment.
I thought we did.
Oh, we did that.
Oh, did we? Okay.
No public comment.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, we're